round 2. And it should be pretty interesting. I'm already seeing that it's a bit of a sandy match over here. Nick Navarre versus Carson Confer. Nick did take game 1, so he is up 1-0. And it looks like our first Metagross of the tournament.
Love Metagross, one of my favorite
Pokemon.
Been a while. It has been a while for Metagross, but we do see
in a tough spot right now.
We do see Nick down 4-2, but Porygon 2 and Tapu Fini are both at low HP. We don't really know the status of Gyarados. You know, maybe it got some Dragon Dances up. We don't actually know, but it does have, you know, a little less than full HP. But Metagross is in a good spot here against Porygon. Not really too worried about anything. Gyarados, as long as it can knock out Porygon before it gets a Thunderbolt out, not really too worried.
Carson, though, will switch out the Tapu Fini for Arcanine. We see that Arcanine is pretty weak.
Arcanine's also very low, so maybe Nick does have the advantage despite being down 4-2.
Yeah, we'll be able to get the Intimidate off onto Gyarados. Not going to be able to deal any get the Intimidate off onto Metagross thanks to that clear body. We'll tank this Bullet Punch pretty effectively, though, and activate the Berry. Just a perfect amount of damage to take from that Bullet Punch to activate its Mago Berry. And it looks like we're going to see a Z move coming out here.
Yeah, Flying Z move, so this Gyarados is going to be able to knock out the Porygon.
Gyarados using its Flying Z move, the Supersonic Sky Strike, dealing some good damage back to that Porygon too. Looks like it not going to be able to allow Carson to set up any kind of Trick Room, because he is running Gigalith that we saw earlier. Actually, Porygon surviving. That Gyarados must have seen some things.
Yeah, we don't actually know what Gyarados' stage of attack is at right now. We know it did get intimidated once, but that's all we know. We don't know if there were any Dragon Dances or any other Intimidates, but yeah, clearly it has, because that just did pitiful damage.
Yeah, and Porygon 2 just able to recover up all that damage. So even though Carson started this turn with 2 Pokemon that looked fairly weak, by tanking that Bullet Punch from Metagross, Arcanine healed up, and Porygon 2 able to just recover off all that damage.
Yeah, after seeing that damage, I don't even know if a Waterfall can knock out Arcanine from this range.
Yeah, that must be a great feeling to be Arcanine. Like, you've intimidated this Gyarados so much it can't even knock you out with a Waterfall.
Yeah, so much for Water types beating Fire types.
It's been training under those Waterfalls, Gyarados.
That's right.
Carson in clearly a very good position here. Metagross, Metagross used to be seen quite a bit, but is really not threatening right now to either the Porygon 2 or the Arcanine. Did avoid the Intimidate thanks to the clear body, but...
Yeah, there is always the potential. Perhaps this Metagross is Assault Vest, considering we've seen Bullet Punch, so maybe if it gets some Meteor Mash attack boost, then maybe it can just, carry this match.
The original Beast boosts. Arcanine, though, will just go for the Flare Blitz onto Metagross, and that is dealing a lot of damage. We are going to see the Weakness Policy.
There's a way for Metagross to carry the match.
That's actually going to help it a lot. The Meteor Mash will come out from the Metagross as well with the Weakness Policy boost, doing so close to doing what Gyarados couldn't, but thanks to the sand.
The sand. Oh, so close. Now, Metagross does have Bullet Punch, so it can knock out Porygon here, but it would have been really nice for the sand to take it out there.
Yeah.
The question is going to be, is Gyarados faster than this Arcanine and able to take it out with a Waterfall before Arcanine can move? I'm not sure if Extreme Speed will be able to take out Metagross here. It is very low, but Metagross has massive defense.
And resists it.
Looks
like Arcanine's going to try. Extreme Speed coming out onto Metagross does not deal enough. Very close. 4 hit points left on Nick's Metagross. A Bullet Punch will come out and pick up the Porygon 2, doing what the sand could not do. Knock out that Porygon 2. And then Gyarados will be able to get this Waterfall off onto the Arcanine. And wasn't enough to pick up the KO onto Porygon 2, but Arcanine is a much easier target this time around.
Yeah, we know Carson has Tapu Fini at very low HP in the back. That's going to be in Bullet Punch KO range.
Absolutely.
But we don't know what the last Pokemon is.
Gigalith.
Gigalith, uh-oh.
Carson's the one who brought the Gigalith. It is at full hit points right now, which is very nice, but... I mean, a Rock Slide probably does win the game here if it hits.
Yeah, so I think Gyarados, it looks like it's at least one stage of decreased attack, perhaps 2.
Yeah.
So I think you just have to go for the Waterfall on Tapu Fini there. If Metagross has Protect, you can just go for that. But you need Metagross to go for the Meteor Mash onto Gigalith and try and knock it out.
Yeah, with the Weakness Policy, may be able to.
With Weakness Policy, it should definitely be able to knock it out with the Meteor Mash. But but don't know how much damage Gyarados can do to the Fini, so perhaps Metagross should go for a Protect and have Gyarados go for the Waterfall on Fini, and then the Sand can finish it off if by chance Waterfall doesn't, and then you just rely on Meteor Mash's accuracy.
Yeah. Meteor Miss, always a possibility. That's why most people stopped running Metagross in the first place.
But we'll see if this Waterfall,
the Waterfall
can KO.
Tapu Fini,
And it does KO.
That is the KO.
So it probably only is at 1 decreased stage of attack, and here we go.
Meteor Mash connects! Nick must be thrilled that his Metagross hit a Meteor Mash, picks up the KO onto Gigalith.
What a comeback.
I mean, we came into this, he was at 2-4,
yep,
and looked like he was in a terrible position, but it turns out Nick had actually just managed to put himself in a position where he could sweep with that Metagross, and I feel like I've traveled back in time by saying the words sweep with Metagross.
Yeah, it's been a long time, really. Last time I remember it was when I did it back in 2012, but man, that was such an intense ending. Very nice comeback from Nick there. Looking back, I wonder if Carson knew if Metagross was weakness policy or not, because he freely went for that Flare Blitz into the Metagross, and that's really what triggered Metagross to be able to sweep. So looking back, you know, we don't actually know whether Carson knew that or not. So
and he did come very close to putting that Metagross into extreme speed range,
that too, yeah. So
only 4
hit points, yeah.
I mean, it's a... That's one of the worst ways to win when you feel like you're up, or worst ways to lose, rather. When you feel like you're up, you have 4 Pokemon, there's no way these last 2 Pokemon can do anything to me. And then all of a sudden, you get that weakness policy goes off, and you're like, oh no, can I extreme speed this?
Especially after seeing that Gyarados damage when it went for the Z move onto Porygon 2 and did almost nothing. I mean, you must have been feeling really good if you're Carson after seeing that, but then it just all fell apart.
Yeah.
Thanks to that weakness policy Metagross.
Yeah, really interesting tech that we saw from Nick, who is a player to watch going into this tournament. He's been having a very good season here, so it's not unsurprising to see him win that set 2-0 and then move into round 3 as another 2-0 player.
Yeah, he's been one of the most consistent players throughout this entire year, so he's definitely a favorite in this tournament, and I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing him again in the future rounds.
Yeah, and again, of course, Carson will be still playing through the rest of the tournament. For all of you Carson fans out there, he is 1-1, so we'll only be able to drop 1 match to be guaranteed to make it into the next round of Swiss, the next day of Swiss, rather. That'll happen tomorrow, but still very possible. I mean, you don't want to be there because we're seeing a lot of really good players drop down to X and 1 right now.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's just inevitable.
Yeah, but Carson's a top player too.
Yeah.
So I've got no worries that he'll be able to handle himself. So.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to watch both of these players as they continue on. And of course, from our first match as well, our players, you know, Sean played very well as well, even though he lost that match. And I'm pretty sure that all 4 of these players, we'll probably be seeing a little bit more of them.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see more from these players. I think it's really interesting that we saw our first Gigalith. Gigalith's a Pokemon that just started becoming more popular towards the end of the season, and a lot of that's just because, you know, it's so strong in Trick Room.
Yeah, it's so similar to Tyranitar too, having the Sandstream ability to boost its own special defense, get a little bit of chip damage to all the other Pokemon, just have such massive stats like attack, HP, defense, all very, very high. Even its speed's so low, so it can really take advantage of Trick Room. It's even slower than Snorlax. And of course the weather, very useful against rain teams, sun teams. So all in all, it's just a really, really strong and solid Pokemon.
Yeah, solid as a rock.
Solid as a rock.
All right, well, that is enough from us here at the desk. Let's toss it down to Anna on the floor to talk with our winners.
Hello again, friends. I am backstage here with Nick after that win. This is their second round of the day. It must feel good to keep some momentum going. How do you feel?
It feels good to get through Carson. He's a great player, and so I'm happy to be 2-0.
Did you have any history with Carson that you were thinking this would be a really difficult match?
I've played against him before online, but never in person, I think. Yeah, I don't think I've played against him. So it was just, it's nice to get a chance to play him finally. He won the World Championships last year, so great opponent, and yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is your second round of the day. Give us a little review of what happened first round for you.
Well, round 1, I played a woman named Karen from Canada. It was her second tournament, and she had a really scary team, and I managed to get out of it by dodging a Spore. So my day has been going pretty fortunately so far.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Tell us a little bit about your team. We got to see in the match, we got to see what the casters said, but tell us from your perspective, what makes your team strong?
The Arcanine and the Tapu Koko just give a lot of synergy early game. Volt Switch gives me a lot of switching potential to just reposition my board state however I would like to. I used Koko Gyarados that game for reasons, but they're both similar Pokemon in having Intimidate, and so just giving me the flexibility to play the games at the pace that I can dictate is what the team does well.
Speaking of flexibility and pacing, a lot of your identity goes into playing these teams. What is it that you think makes this team particularly good for you as a player?
Chansey gives me a lot of options against a lot of things to outplay people in ways that they're not used to. Just people aren't used to dealing with Chansey. So just having it as an option in games is very, very useful.
If people were watching and wanted to kind of emulate your team or emulate your playstyle, what are some of the key moments that happened in that last match that you would direct them to watch?
Honestly, that match wasn't... the match basically came down to Carson not having great checks for Metagross. He had his Arcanine, which can Flare Blitz it, and he might have had something else somewhere that can hit Metagross, but Arcanine doesn't one-shot Metagross with Flare Blitz, and so he just... it was able to deal too much damage for him to deal with.
Absolutely. Well, you're going to be moving forward in the tournament, playing lots more over these next couple days, so we'll let you get back to it. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you. And casters, now it's back to you.
Thanks, Anna. I think that was a really interesting interview there. I really like hearing from Nick about how he builds his teams to allow him to control the pace of the game. That's a really important thing that I think a lot of people overlook in team building. There's a lot of people who try to counter everyone else's teams, but he built his team so that he could control the pace of the game.
Yeah, I agree, and I really liked hearing how he loves repositioning his board state to get into scenarios where he's the one exerting pressure, he's the one forcing the opponent into tough
Flashbacks
spots,
to a young Ray Rizzo.